Imagine having big dreams of achieving in the entertainment industry, only to be coerced into the adult industry and abused and harassed continuously, to the point of drug dependency, severe mental health issues, and even suicide. Talented teens are at risk to this form of grooming, and it is all according to the plan of these agents and agencies. They even label themselves as modeling agencies in order to get more aspiring talents in. Porn performer Cagley Lynn Carter dies by suicide at age 36. Carter came to LA to pursue singing and modeling career and was pulled into the porn industry at only 18. Carter was recruited into porn by LA Direct Models, a company founded by Derek Hay, who has been accused of sexual abuse and sex trafficking. Here in the article by Rolling Stone, it says 4 porn performers accused the agent of sexual abuse and trafficking, including Charlotte Cross, which also accused him of frauding them their performance fees, i.e. not paying them, by overcharging the producers. So why porn performers are dying at an alarming rate? We wish this were an isolated incident, but sadly deaths by suicide, alcohol, and drugs are extremely common in the industry. Having to go through these agents as well as doing porn is deeply traumatizing, and it leads to self-medicating, which leads to the deaths of a lot of these girls, which only profits the agents. Most porn performers don't even last a year in the industry, and yet their images and videos are live online forever. A high percentage of girls who enter the industry are recruited fresh out of high school because producers know they can exploit their vulnerability. Here's how one young performer described her experience. Trigger warning. This is a real account. Maggie shares, between ages 18 and 19, I was in about 130 pornographic movies. At times, the violent sex made us bleed, at which point the cameras would stop rolling where we were cleaned up. Once it was cleaned up, they would just resume filming. I was so naive, and 18 years old, I was desperately wanting to believe that I was in control of this scary situation. Now when I look at myself in these movies, I see myself being raped over and over again. They shoot these girls as much as possible in order to get them traumatized. So after the years on the run, the Girls Do Porn boss faces beginning of the end in San Diego. He is on the list of the 10 most wanted fugitives. Michael James Pratt, conspiracy to commit sex trafficking by force, fraud and coercion, production of child pornography, sex trafficking of a minor by force, fraud and coercion, sex trafficking by force, fraud and coercion. Michael James Pratt was also arrested in Spain in 2022. He was extradited in March to stand trial in San Diego on federal crimes, including conspiracy and sex trafficking charges, accused of conning teens and young women into appearing in adult movies. It was a moment hundreds of women had been waiting for, and one many feared would never happen. 5 years after he fled the country, and minutes before his former right-hand man was sentenced in federal court, authorities announced that the alleged mastermind behind Girls Do Porn sex trafficking ring had touched down in San Diego and into federal custody. This is according to the Los Angeles Times ad regarding this case. Michael James Pratt disappeared in the summer of 2019, just before he was indicted on federal conspiracy and sex trafficking charges stemming from what prosecutors said was a decade-long scheme to con hundreds of teens and young women into appearing in adult videos for a website that he owned. Pratt was on the lam for 3 years and had been listed among the FBI's most wanted fugitives by the time he was arrested in Spain in December of 2022. Those indicted alongside him have pleaded guilty to their crimes, each fingering Pratt as the ringleader. The majority of his co-conspirators captors have started their sentences in prison. On March 19th, it was cameraman Matthew Isaac Wolf's turn. Dozens of victims had gathered in San Diego's James M. Carter and Judas N's Keeps courthouse to speak at the sentencing hearing when they were told that Pratt was in fact in federal custody. Now back on U.S. soil, his case is yet to be resolved. Other co-defendants have struck plea deals, but Pratt, who faces decades in federal prison if convicted, could choose to take his case to trial after pleading not guilty. His lawyers did not respond to requests for comment. According to federal indictments and extensive victim testimony, most of who coming from the victims who had barely graduated high school when they were brought to San Diego to film, were lured off Craigslist and through social media with promise of well-paid modeling gigs, only to be told at the last minute that they were expected to shoot explicit sex scenes instead. I can remember being so worried to tell him that I was just 17, a woman identified as victim K told the court during the hearing. Ruben Andre Garcia, who pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit sex trafficking in 2020 and was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison in 2021. But he was not mad or concerned. Instead, he was excited and eager for me to start. Garcia and Pratt bought me a birthday cake to include in the filming process so he could let everyone know that I had just turned 18. After arriving in San Diego, the women have said that they were typically hustled into cramped hotel rooms with blocked exit, cajoled into signing thick contracts that were not allowed to read, and assured repeatedly that the videos would only appear on DVD in foreign countries and would never be published to the internet or released in the United States. Many said they were pressured into performing sex acts they'd previously refused to do. Some said that they were told they would not be allowed to leave, or else their flights home would be canceled if they did not complete the film. Who spoke out at Garcia's sentencing told harrowing stories of assault, coercion, and brutality during the hour-long shoots, when many wept, bled, vomited, cried out in pain, or begged for filming to stop, scenes that were carefully edited from the final video. I asked multiple times to stop, said victim E. I had burst blood vessels in my eyes because of the pain that I was in. Weeks after they returned home, the videos were released in full on Pratt's subscription sites and as clips on PornHub and other popular free porn sites. At the same time, Pratt and his team would dox the women on another site he controlled, releasing their names, emails, home addresses, and even biometric details including height and weight to hordes of trolls who linked it to 4chan and similar forums. Efforts attorneys say they were intended both to silence the victims and to drive traffic to the subscription site. My first time seeing pornography video of myself, my own body, which was sent to me hundreds of times a day by friends, family, and strangers, says victim H. I lived in constant fear from thousands of men who said they will find me, rape me, and kill me in my own home. Other survivors detailed how they had lost jobs, been evicted, and were estranged from friends and family. Out of school, some attempted suicide. Those who joined the civil lawsuit in 2016 saw whole new waves of attacks. Because when you speak out against abuse, especially abuse some people have unfortunately got pleasure from, you somehow are the bad guy. Another story regarding Michael Pratt, the former beauty queen who was raped and forced to do porn. Christie, a runner-up at the 2012 Miss Teen Colorado USA pageant, says she was raped, drugged, physically abused, and blackmailed by Michael Pratt, owner of Girls Do Porn, and his associates in 2013. After graduating high school, she began to pursue a career in modeling. She came across a Craigslist ad offering a paid modeling opportunity, and the agent offered to fly her to San Diego for a shoot. She was then drugged, raped, and abused for 9 hours. Videos of her assault were published on PornHub with her name attached. Afterwards, she was stripped of her pageant titles, harassed by students at her college, and recognized by strangers on the street. She was even assaulted in her own home by a self-described PornHub subscriber in May-June 2023. She suffered severe distress and anxiety. Lost jobs when employers discovered she'd appeared in porn, struggled to maintain healthy relationships, and even changed her name. She is now suing PornHub and its parent company MindGeek, now called ILO, for aiding and admitting sex trafficking, profiting from sex trafficking, and advertising a victim of sex trafficking. She reported the videos as rape and sex trafficking to MindGeek, but says they chose to ignore it, like many, many others. The videos were taken down in 2019 when the Department of Justice seized and shut down Girls Do Porn. However, MindGeek has since allowed the videos to be reposted. Her story echoes and accounts the hundreds of other women who were trafficked by Girls Do Porn, and further evidence that PornHub must be shut down and held accountable for continuing to profit off sexual exploitation. Like Christy, hundreds of other women have this story regarding Michael Pratt. We applaud Christy for her bravery in order to speak out and seek justice against PornHub. They must be shut down and held accountable. We interviewed Christina, another survivor of sexual exploitation by Girls Do Porn and PornHub, on our podcast. Exodus Cry has an excellent podcast. Please go check it out. Many women under this hashtag Trafficking Hub have suffered a similar fate. If you are a porn viewer, it is likely that you need to know what you are actually contributing to and what kind of company you are feeding into when you do support this.
There are girls who've unalived from being in one scene. They weren't in the right headspace for a couple days, signed with an agency, got on set, did a shoot, came to their senses a couple days later, wanted to stop it from being put out, and couldn't, so they ended their lives. The amount of girls I know that want to end their lives because of the videos that are still online, myself being one of them. I wish there was something we could do to get this shit erased.
December 2020 was like Doom's month.
They're like, oh, we're like a household brand, so like nothing bad can ever happen to us, and then it did, and like subs go down, views go down.
You could upload a video of anything and it would just go through, like it would not give a shit. Like as a business, we're monetizing content that we don't know where this comes from, we don't know who's on that video, we don't know the age of the person on the video. They look 20, they could be 16, you know? We weren't as compliant as we should have been, honestly. The content formatter people, like, they would just be running through videos all day and just skimming through them and be like, oh yeah, no one got killed, that's fine.
I would say there probably was some like teen men and women like on there, and it gets flagged and it gets taken down, but the system is so slow and they don't have enough moderators that it stays up for long enough that people can get mad and sue them. And I think that's what happens. They made so much money and they were like top of the world, but they fumbled so hard because they didn't take any of that money and reinvest it into moderation or like quality of the site. They just kind of gave it all to executives, and then they just made a shit ton of profit. So then when all these controversies started happening about like remove this content, what about this company, your advertisers are bad, they didn't have enough background and funding to fight back. They didn't do enough for their own work. So I think that hurt them really hard.
I was crying to the point where I'm looking at the cameraman waiting for like somebody to stop it. But I'm like, if I stop now, then, I'm not going to get paid. Like all this stuff's going through my head. I'm like, how much longer can this really go on for?
Yeah.
And this is only 2 hours into it. Little did I know that, he would continue to do this to me for like 6 hours, to the point where, I was just ready to I'd been puking. I was sick. But like the last thing he made me do was look into the camera and ask my mommy if she was proud of me. When all this stuff came up about him drugging a certain girl in the industry, and they wanted me to testify, and I didn't even, I'm like, unfortunately, he didn't drug me. I can say that. I wish I had been drugged for that scene.
Yeah. is the fantasy? No matter what we say is good or bad, we're gonna do what the market wants.
Most people who make porn, they're here to make a buck, they're not here to send a message. But porn does send messages.
I recruited brand new first-timers. I had one that came in and she probably looked like she was 14. So I knew we were gonna be able to make a lot of money from this girl.
Nice. I make instructional videos where I costume the girls to look like this emerging teen. Imagine this on a tiny little girl.
I mean, pigtails were a big deal. They wanted me to look like a child.
It's selling a fantasy that sex with underage girls is hot. Do you feel conflicted all about that?
How old are you, Courtney?
I'm only 12 and a half.
Doing was supposed to be like my adventure. I thought everybody does the same thing I do. They don't get hurt, so I won't get hurt. I got hurt.
Cameron Bay is one of 3 newly HIV-infected adult film actors to share their stories.
I got chlamydia my first month I was there.
My first test came back positive for gonorrhea.
My girlfriend and I had actually gotten herpes.
And herpes is a non-curable disease.
Transmitted infection for the porn industry is going to be one of the risks that is involved in shooting a set. What we've done with our testing protocols have really mitigated that risk.
The industry really wants to make people believe that testing is enough.
But that testing is woefully inadequate.
And they're charging performers as high as $170 per panel.
This medication is $3,000 a month.
I don't think they give 2 shits about the performers. All they care about is money. And that's the God honest truth.
The chances, the risks that they take are the deal that they make with the devil when they come into this business.
This might be the most abusive site on the internet. Disclaimer, this post comes with a really strong trigger warning. 19-year-old Anna was hired by Facial Abuse to do a scene in 2021. During her scene, she was slapped, urinated on, verbally ridiculed, and forcefully gagged until she vomited on set. She said she had a black eye from being slapped in the face and extensive bruising to her body. Anna says she was kept in positions in which she was anatomically unable to withdraw consent, and they pretty much did everything she said no to. After the scene, she contemplated suicide for a long time. As you can see, this is not a one-off for this company. This website called Facial Abuse has been doing this to thousands of girls since their inception in 2013. They have billions of views across their videos, which have been hosted on websites like PornHub and Xvideos, and there are many reports of them doxing and threatening journalists and former performers when they've tried to speak out. An in-depth article exposing this vile company and their practices just dropped yesterday. You can get the full story at the link in our bio, but warning again, it's extremely graphic. We cannot ignore the blatant sexual abuse in porn. Facial abuse must be investigated, the creators held accountable, and this website shut down. Please help expose them by sharing this post.
I responded to a modeling ad online, and from there I ended up being trafficked. They advertised clothes modeling. They were promising us cash on the spot. They took me shopping. As a young girl, it just seemed like any girl's dream. Until then, they didn't tell me what was going on, but they didn't give me an option either to say no. They began setting up the room to film this shoot. I began asking what's going on, and they said, the boss is mad. He wants us to do this, and saying that he was gonna pay me less because my ribs looked weird. Any small little bit just to break down the girl's self-esteem, to really get us over that, okay, I'll do it, situation to where they had our consent. They lied and said that they were going to be putting these on DVDs and that no one would ever find out. And at that point, I was in this situation of fear and panic. They already had copies of my passport. They had my social security number. They had copies of my license. If I wanted to run, I wouldn't know where to go. Then to bump it up a notch, they say, and if you don't do it, we're going to tell your family. We were also told that it was only going to be 30 minutes. I remember beginning to film around 4 p.m. I remember at the very end looking over at the clock and it was 4:20 a.m.
These are real PornHub user comments. It's impossible to read the words without feeling physically ill, so I won't try. They're connected to the story of a 15-year-old girl from Broward County in Florida who went missing for a year. She was found when her distraught mother was tipped off by a PornHub user that he had seen and recognized her daughter on the website. The girl was found being raped in 58 videos under the account name Daddy Slut. Police were able to match the abuser's face to surveillance footage from a 7-Eleven convenience store and identified the 30-year-old man, Christopher Johnson.
Tuesday, police arrested Johnson when he and the girl got back into the same car. The girl told detectives many of the porn videos were made at Johnson's apartment.
The videos, however, were monetized on PornHub with ads and were sold as pay to download, with a 35% commission going to the company. The girl's life will never be the same. This is, of course, a horrific story, but it is not an uncommon one. There are literally thousands of cases of people who have been raped or trafficked or tortured or abuse of minors, including toddlers, which have then been videoed and uploaded onto the website, which has made a tidy profit from the scarring of innocent minds and bodies. Now, you would think that the company, despite being an inherently immoral company, if they had any decency at all and they heard about this kind of thing going on, or even suspected it of going on, that they would implement serious measures to flag, report and remove videos like this. After all, it's not like they can't afford to do so. PornHub is a massive company. It is owned by the parent company ILO, formerly MindGeek, and it receives 115 million visits every single day, not to mention the fact that it has 6 million videos uploaded annually and an estimated value of $1.5 billion. Yet, do you know how many people are employed at PornHub to review flagged videos? Well, according to the Gazette, it's just one. One person employed 5 days a week to review 1.5 million hours of footage annually, which leaves us in little wonder as to why they have a backlog of 706,000 flagged videos that have yet to be reviewed. And when this was revealed, the CEO of MindGeek at the time said that this seemed good and reasonable. Now, in spite of their laxity, the company has had help in reviewing videos. There have been literally hundreds of occasions when PornHub has been contacted by victims saying that there are videos of their abuse on their website. Sometimes even the police have asked that videos be taken down. Has PornHub obliged? No. Victims have been ignored for months. They've been demanded to prove that the activity was a true rape or abuse situation, and even when the videos have been removed, they have simply been re-uploaded again and again and again. Now, in case you had any doubt about PornHub's complicity in evil, it was revealed in depositions that PornHub had knowingly been hiding child sexual abuse from authorities and had not reported any sexual abuse on their platform for 13 years prior to the Trafficking Hub movement. Just this past week, undercover footage of a PornHub employee revealed that they use things such as blurred faces as a loophole.
Who exploits the loophole?
Everybody. Everyone. You make a lot of money.
Do rapists use it, or?
Of course. We've brought it up to the CPO, we brought it up to the CLO, and they're both telling us it's all good. And the CPO is especially telling us, like, f*** off, it's all good. Like, stop.
So they know the risk.
Shut up. No, it's all good. I'm not gonna get caught. It's fine.
So this company knowingly makes as much money as possible from the abuse of children and victims of rape. It seems to be almost an integral part of their business model.